And we have the pleasure of joining us on the line today, the head coach of the UMass men's lacrosse team, Greg Cannella. Coach, first off, thank you for joining us today. And before we get into any details of the season, how are you and your family doing and those around you during this pandemic?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good morning. Everyone here is doing well. We're in our routine now. It seems like it's been 6-7 weeks, and I have a son that's a second-year college student learning remotely here at home. My daughter is a senior in high school. She's doing the same thing, and we're just trying to keep with our schedules, the everyday. For me as a coach, you go into work and you clean out your computer in terms of your emails, and maybe you go work out and you're preparing for practice and games, and then you go out in the afternoon for 2.5 hours of practice. So again, I'm trying to keep that routine as well, trying to get outdoors as much as possible, something that I think everybody needs to do at this time.
Coach, you've been with the UMass program for 26 years now, or just, I guess, kind of finished your 26th season in a way, and I'm sure you've never seen a season end like this before. So what was the message to your team and staff when the news started to kind of trickle out that there wasn't going to be a 2020 season?
Yeah, I think at that point in March, we really didn't know the severity of what was happening and the pandemic that was really coming our way here in Massachusetts, and we're really still kind of peaking here in Massachusetts in the Boston area. Our message at that point was, hey, listen, this is something that we can't control, but what we can do is we can listen to our local authorities and our parents and the people around us to stay safe. And I also mentioned that, hey, guys, listen, if this is the worst thing that happens to us, that we can't get to play lacrosse, in our lives, we're doing pretty good. So I think we tried to just put it in perspective for everybody, especially on their way home and getting home safe. And it was also an inkling for our older guys, our seniors, that, we had already heard some rumblings that they may have an opportunity to come back and participate in another year.
And before we get into another year, Coach, let's take a look back at the 2020 season a little bit. The Minutemen got off to a little bit of a slow start, but then you guys kind of caught fire there before it abruptly ended, including a victory over the number one team in the country, Yale. Could you take us through kind of your 2020 journey?
It seems like a year ago. Slow start is an understatement. We got whomped by Army in our first contest where we weren't ready to play against a really strong team. We rebounded the next week. We went out to Ohio State, a top 10 team, and we were able to play with a lot of energy and emotion and prevail in that game. We come home, and again, we're away for 2 games. We go, okay, we're coming back to UMass and Garber Field, and guys exhale for a couple days, and then we play Harvard, and they beat us in a close game where we felt we played, under our potential. No disrespect to Harvard, they earned that win, and we kind of refocused at that point. We had a bunch of games: UMass Lowell, Yale, Albany, 3 games in 10 days. And we asked our guys to step back and just think about how much longer they had together as a group, and going into, we're into March, and you're looking at end of March and April, and that's it. Season's over. So I think our guys really took that to heart and started to play together. We had a tough fought game 2 days after we lost to Harvard to UMass Lowell. We beat those guys by a couple goals. And then we went into Saturday's game with Yale, played very well, shot the ball really well, defended it really well, as obviously they're an incredible team. And we saved the ball with Matt Note in the cage. So, and then 2 days later, we had to face Albany, who's, been a thorn in our side for a long time. Great rivalry, team that, has really developed incredibly over the years that we played them since the early 2000s. and we were able to come out victorious that day as well. So we were, we had won 4 in a row. We were, kind of fired up. I think our leadership was starting to really come together at that point, which was most important to us as a team.
Indeed, and Coach, with your team catching fire there before the season had to end, you didn't get to really see the potential of this team this year, and them, like you said, they were coming together. And right now, you're usually getting ready for the conference championship weekend, which is a tournament that your team has played in and won here in the past several years and have been very successful. So, how tough is it to not be able to see the potential of what this season could have been?
Yeah, I mean, keeping in perspective, what's happening around the country, around the world. We're missing a couple of cross games. We're all very fortunate to be able to play this game and participate, and hopefully we'll all be able to play lacrosse again at some time in the near future here. But you miss those rivalries, and the regular season rivalries that you play, and going into all those games, that if you get into the championship, you're going to play somebody twice, and hopefully play 2 teams twice and get to the championship. And so you miss those rivalries. You miss those opportunities to compete, what I think is at the highest level of our game in the CAA.
Coach, you went into the season having to replace Sean Scanoni in goal, and you talked about Matt Note a little bit, and then also the 2018 CAA Player of the Year, Isaac Paparo, had to replace him as well. How tough was it initially to kind of fill those roles?
Yeah, very difficult. I mean, talent-wise, you don't replace them. In the 4-year cycles, you're going to lose guys, develop guys, lose guys over time, and those guys on the field in terms of their physical abilities and talent, just incredible. So it's hard to replace those guys. You hope that you can plug people in there that are going to develop over time potentially. As you mentioned, Matt Note there, and then a guy like, a couple guys, Jake Dulac down on close defense for us as a freshman. But nonetheless, what's more important, I think, what we missed was their leadership. It was outstanding over Isaac's 4 years, Sean the last 2 years. So you missed that initially in the fall and then the early spring. And it took us a long time for that to really develop and kind of mature.
Now, Isaac, I believe, was part of the coaching staff this year. Is this something that maybe you could see in his future, and how did he do in that role for you this year?
Yeah, Isaac can do whatever he wants in his future. He's an outstanding person, obviously a very loyal person to us. He was in graduate school. He got his master's in the business analytics program in the Eisenberg School of Management, which is top-notch here at UMass. So he's going to move on and get a job. But if he wanted to be a coach, he'd be a fantastic coach. But again, whatever company, whatever job that he moves into here in the future, is going to be very lucky to have someone like Isaac.
How about Billy Philpott? What has he meant to your program both on and off the field?
Yeah, Billy's been great for us. I just mentioned that program, the business analytics program. Billy was a 5th-year senior and in the same program as Isaac, and they went together. They started it last June, and it'll end here in May, at the end of May. So Billy's been not only a great player for us, a developmental player in a sense that he started out as a defensive midfielder, transitioned into a 2-way midfielder, the way we play now, offense, defense, just an indispensable type of talent. Also a very strong leader, a guy that showed up every day, gave a great effort day in and day out, on the field, but also an advocate for us. He was part of the SAC group on campus for us, a voice for us, and again, a strong representative now and wherever he may end up here in the future.
Wrapping up today with UMass men's lacrosse head coach Greg Cannella. Coach, with spring sports seniors having the opportunity to play another season, how will this impact your program moving forward?
Well, we hope it's positive. We feel we're going to get a number of our seniors to come back for another year. We're figuring out the academic piece right now with a lot of those guys, graduate school, certificate programs here at UMass. But I think probably more so is going to be their leadership, their ability. They're going to be all fifth-year guys, a year older, a bit more mature. They were leading as seniors in the 2020 season that got cut short. Now we hope that they kind of bring that experience back to them, because we were, as we talked about previous year, it was a little up and down, throughout the season, throughout the fall. And those experiences through adversity are very helpful for those guys. So hopefully, I think for us, maybe we get off to not a better start, but it'll be a little bit more seamless in terms of our leadership come fall and into the spring of 2021.
And Coach, as you look around the conference, the CAA, how different could 2021 season look? It was so many seniors, some of these seniors coming back or some not coming back. Does this make kind of scouting the league a little difficult, or how do you see the 2021 season shaping up as you get ready for your conference and rival opponents?
Yeah, I think it only improves the teams. I think a lot of the coaches are probably wishing that some of these guys would move on and leave. Some of the people that I'm thinking of, Delaware, Hofstra, Towson, Drexel, Fairfield, boy, it's going to be tough. As I just mentioned, that fifth year, those guys are a year older, more mature. They bring great leadership qualities, and I think that's probably going to help strengthen teams is their leadership and those guys coming back and their sort of thought process of saying, hey, to their teammates, hey, listen, we decided to come back because we believe in you guys. We believe in the team. We believe in the university, wherever it may be. And I think that's just going to strengthen the bonds of each of these teams and, push the CAA forward again through another year.
Coach Greg Cannella joining us from UMass. Thank you so much for your time today. Stay safe and healthy, and I'm sure we'll talk to you here down the road.
Thank you very much for having me. You guys too. Please stay safe and healthy, and everybody else out there in the CAA world, please do the same.
All right. Thank you very much, Coach.